why doesn't a crumble place exist?
Yeah.
Because the British population love crumble.
Love it.
And it's more often than not, it's cold in the UK. So why don't we have a crumble place? And so I went home and I did loads of research, and I couldn't see anywhere that had done crumble in ice cream tubs and take it around town and eat. And I was like, it's either a terrible idea, the business side of things just doesn't work, or it's a gap in the market and hasn't been explored. I was running Humble Crumble for about 2 years before, 2.5 years before we went viral, but obviously there was a pandemic in there, so the timing's a bit confusing. But we went viral in October 2020, which actually was a really quiet time in London. We got basically Time Out posted to their 1 million London-based followers you could go somewhere during this pandemic, and you can go get a crumble, and this place exists. And the problem that I told you about when I first started Humble Crumble, of people not really knowing what we did, not really taking the time to find out what we did. People had so much time and they were on their phone so much, they actually took the time to figure out, oh my gosh, a place is selling crumble. It's a theatrical experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's deliberate as well. Like, the product is the marketing.
Yeah.
We have a creme brulee where it's blowtorched, sugar on top, and you can tap it and crack it. And, that takes a minute to make, and people are filming this this sugar bubbling, and that's, it's free marketing.
For your one idea, standing outside in the cold in Brighton, they should really sell hot food, has now turned into an £8 million a year business. Do you ever
It's absolutely crazy. I'm completely blown away by that fact. And I actually, a lot of the time I don't even think about it, because I think if I really sat down and thought about it, I'd be like, what the hell?
My name is Claudia Green, and this is She Did That, the podcast shining a spotlight on remarkable women who are breaking barriers and proving that greatness knows no gender. From female founders who have raised millions of pounds, the investors changing the landscape as we know it, to survivors of tragedy who have achieved the amazing, and many more. We will share the stories of these incredible women who will inspire and empower you. In order to support us and these women, please subscribe on your viewing or listening channel of choice, so we can continue our mission of sharing the stories that should and need to be heard.
My guest today has an incredibly interesting story with a business idea that started while she was walking along the streets of Brighton during her university years. Fast forward a few years, she is now running a business set to post profits of £8 million a year, selling hot crumble in some of the most iconic locations in and outside London. I am delighted to welcome Kim Innes of Humble Crumble. Kim, thank you so much for coming on She Did That.
Pleasure.
You rehearsed that, didn't you? I discovered you, I told you this, but so that everyone else can have context, I was in Camden Market in the winter, and I was like, I'm desperate for a dessert. And then I stumbled across Humble Crumble, and I was like, what is this wonderland? And I got myself a rhubarb crumble with custard and marshmallow all over it, and I was like, oh God, that is really, really, really good. And I'm a picky dessert eater. And then obviously I researched it, and I was like, yes, it's a female founded brand. I know that you had incredible growth and set to grow even more. But I'd love to sort of take it back to earlier stages to kind of see how this came about. So why don't we won't start with birth. Let's start, well, we could. Were you born in London, or what was early life like?
I was born in London, in Camden, actually.
Okay.
And then I'm the youngest of 5 kids.
Wow.
So my parents were living, and my family were living in a basement flat in St John's Wood.
Yeah.
And so then they decided to move out to the countryside.
Yeah.
Have a bit more space for their children. So
5 in a basement sounds...
5 in a basement was quite a lot.
The start of a horror movie.
It does sound like that. I was 6 months old when we moved to St Albans, in like the countryside area of St Albans.
Yeah.
And yeah, my parents have been there for 30 years now.
And then what was school like? Were you good at school?
I think I was all right at school. I think I remember doing the aptitude tests and scoring average and being really upset by it.
No one wants average.
No one wants to be average.
No.
I mean, no one wants to be below average, but I was I don't like being average.
No.
But I think I was okay at school. I just wasn't the most confident in my ability, and I think that's probably what held me back more than anything else.
Yeah.
Just trying to, I don't know, like finding things a bit intimidating and then maybe not doing it. But then I got over that, and with some tuition, and I think that helped me.
You must have gotten over that, because to be an entrepreneur is not for the faint-hearted.
I actually do think my school taught me a lot about entrepreneurship and life in general, because I was always such a shy child, and I always felt like I was kind of sitting on the outside thinking, I want to jump in, but I'm not. I'm too nervous to do it. And we used to just have these weekly assemblies, and I just, they would say all these stories about if you haven't tried, you've already failed. Like the first step is literally just taking the first step, and everything's okay. And I think just having that like kind of weekly like reinforcing of like, you can do these things, you just need to have the right mindset. Really
that's really rare though, because often when you hear about people's school experiences, it's not like that.
Yeah, I know.
So it's nice to hear they do exist.
They do exist.
And did you kind of know from a young age what you wanted to do at all, or what was it that you wanted to do?
I was like always trying to think of doing different things. Like when I was a really young child, I wanted to be an artist. Then I wanted to be an astronaut. Then I wanted to be a spy. And then I actually think I had a good role model for business, which was actually my brother, who he runs a mechanics shop, but he trained to be a mechanic, and then was working outside my parents' house, fixing other people's cars like after work, and building up a customer base that way. And I was just, he's like I think maybe 6 years older than me, and I was just always watching him do that hard work. And then I saw him launch his own business, which I just thought it just kind of showed me that you can just do these things, and it's not always like jumping in, I'm running a business. You can like start, and you can go slowly, and you can figure it out.
Yeah.
That, and also because he was interested in business, he'd be watching Dragon's Den, and I'd be watching Dragon's Den with him. And I just found it really fascinating. So I think the idea of becoming a business person was always in the back of my head as something that I wanted to do, yeah.
So did you go to university or go straight into work?
I went to university. I went to the University of Brighton. I studied English literature, so not that relevant to my day now. But actually it's in Brighton where I had the idea for Humble Crumble, where I was walking down the North Lanes, and there's an ice cream shop there that I noticed over my time at uni would be so busy in the summer, but didn't have many customers in the winter. I was standing outside the shop, looking at it, thinking, what could they do? Is there a winter alternative to ice cream? And because I'd made crumble for my family for like a decade at that point, it kind of just came to me as like, they should be selling crumble. And then I was like, why doesn't a crumble place exist?
Yeah.
Because the British population love crumble.
Love it.
And it's more often than not, it's cold in the UK. So why don't we have a crumble place? And so I went home and I did loads of research, and I couldn't see anywhere that had done like, crumble in ice cream tubs and take it around town and eat. And I was like, it's either a terrible idea, the business side of things just doesn't work, or it's a gap in the market and hasn't been explored.
So what was kind of the time frame between first concept and thinking, okay, this might be a thing, through to, because you first started on a market stall. Which one? Where was the first market stall? Borough, was it?
Is Primrose Hill.
Primrose Hill. I've been to that one.
Market.
Yes.
Yeah. I had the idea in 2016, and I really looked into it then, and I got really freaked out by running a hospitality business first of all, there's all this like compliance you have to do for like food hygiene, which is, you know, very important, but I think intimidating when you see like you might go to prison if, you know, something happens. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm 21 years old. I don't know if I can handle that stress. Two, also, I really wanted to see whether I could make a crumble cafe work. And then I was like, wow, rent's really expensive. Hiring people is expensive. Then there's a thing called business rates, which is obviously like a tax on rent. And I was like, I don't understand how people are able to start businesses because it's so cash intensive. And so I actually put the idea on a back burner. And then I got I worked in London for a bit at a food startup, which then eventually went, it was bought by a larger company. So I lost my job. So this was in basically December 2017. And I had this moment where I was like, I can't get Humble Crumble out of my head. I'd already named it. I can't get Humble Crumble out of my head. Like, I've lost my job. I have no confidence to get another job because I've just lost it. And so I'm going to try Humble Crumble, and I'm just going to start in the smallest way possible. And that was setting up an Instagram page and photographing what I thought my concept of crumble would look like. And then it was using those photographs to get myself into a farmer's market, which was Primrose Hill. And from there, it was to just try and see if anybody wanted to buy a crumble. And from there, it was like, okay, how do I tweak this offering? How do I make it more what people want? Is it the right size? Is it the right price? Is it the right ingredients, presentation, everything? I learned everything from the market stalls. And it was like the most amazing way to get feedback. And one of the most interesting things that I found was that people just didn't know what I was selling because they had never seen it before.
No, you don't.
And I would say like apple crumble, humble crumble, all over the market stall. And people would come up to me and say, what are you selling? And I was like, it says on the menu. And
crumble.
Like, just because they weren't expecting to see it.
No.
Because they hadn't seen it before.
Nice surprise though, to be able to get like a warm...
Yeah.
So when you started off on the market stall, had you sort of pre-made the food the night before, brought it forward? Like, this is real like hustle, hard work.
Everything was made in my kitchen in a house share I was in at the time in Finsbury Park. And then because I'd lost my job, I ended up moving back in with my parents so that I didn't have to have that expensive rent. And then everything was made from their kitchen for a good amount of time until I could move back into London. And then I got a commercial kitchen, which I would rent one day a week. But then by the time I got into Spitalfields, which is basically, I decided to go to Spitalfields Market because I wanted to test if the idea would work 7 days a week, because I was only doing weekend markets and pop-ups and events before. And I was like, if I'm going to make this business my life, I need to know if it's going to be able to sustain me, basically. So I got a spot in Spitalfields Market 7 days a week in a wooden stall. It was actually crazy because it was like £50,000 for the year for this like 2x2 meter wooden stall. I was like, that's nuts. It's crazy. And then, you know, there's service charge as well.
Oh my God. You don't even think of that stuff. When you think of a market stall, you're like, okay, you just pay an amount of money per week or whatever.
Per square foot, it's one of the most expensive places in London. But it's, you know, it's the market. It's where people are. People want to buy food. You've got the right demographics there. And I was like, great, go hard, go home. I'm going to try this out. 3 days later, has closed because of the pandemic. And that was obviously terrifying for many reasons. But what it did do was it made me rethink how I ran the business. So when I came back from the first lockdown in June, I got rid of my commercial kitchen because it was like too much rent to pay. I moved everything into that 2x2 wooden stall, the ovens, induction hobs, fridges, kettles, everything. And I made everything on site because
that's a squish.
It was a squish. I'm a scatty person, but if I want to be organized, I can be.
Yeah.
And I managed to get everything in there, bake the crumble topping, bake the custard, bake the fruits and everything while I was waiting for customers because there really weren't any customers. But one of the best things ever was the oven would make this such a lovely buttery crumbly smell.
Oh, you're making me hungry.
Come in from the street and be like, oh, I followed this smell. So yeah, it was like it kind of shifted everything to how we do things now, where everything is made on site.
Yeah.
Rather than having like a lot of businesses in food industry will have a central production kitchen where everything's made there because it is actually cheaper to do that.
Yeah, but then the quality is quite different because obviously when I went into the Camden store, it was hot. It was that made a big difference, and like it was a big queue. That was sort of part of the experience that you got to go through that, and you're like, right, okay, I've got a hot crumble. I'm going to pick my toppings, and you've got really interesting toppings, like you got some wacky ones that work. How do you? Because the one thing I hear from food entrepreneurs is that the margins can be really, really tight. Were there sort of various iterations when it came to pricing, ingredients? Like, how did you get through the fine tuning of like, right, we're using this packaging, we're charging this? Like, was that a long process?
It was a long process, and it was probably something I did wrong for most of my early years of Humble Crumble. I'm not a numbers person, and I wasn't like from a business background where I would know what the margins for hospitality should be this and this and this. I just decided that I wanted to create a product that had the best quality ingredients in it, and yes, I might pay more for that, but at the same time I'm a solo founder, so I don't have to split my profit with other people, so I can make that decision, make that cut. But now I will say my partner, so my boyfriend, who I met actually in Spitalfields during the pandemic because he runs a business called Chai Guys. He has got a business background, and he works in many ways for Humble Crumble, finding new locations, training team on like management and also our numbers. So he's been the person who's come in and been like, this is, roughly what we should be making in like operational profit and stuff. So he's been able to do all of that.
But it seems daunting. Like, obviously starting any business is really daunting. But when you're factoring in the fact that you've got a product that doesn't cost £50 or £100, and you've got to pay staff, and you've got to pay rent, and it's packaging and all of those things, like, I can understand why even a numbers person might have various iterations of it, because it's like, how on earth do you make that work? It's tight.
It is definitely tight. Hospitality is one of the hardest industries to be in, and most hospitality businesses close.
Yeah.
And also, especially now when you're seeing like, I think there's definitely more quick service restaurants, and Humble Crumble is one of those, because big restaurants are even harder to run because you've got more space, you've got more people to hire, and it's just the whole thing costs more. It's really difficult. Humble Crumble, as I said, like I kind of didn't go in with the right mindset of like, this is how much profit we should be making, etc. It kind of just got lucky where we got viral, and lots of people were coming and buying crumbles, so we could kind of get away with being operationally inefficient, or
you did go viral.
Financially inefficient, I guess is the word I'm saying.
I think that's probably how I first had heard the name Humble Crumble, and it was influencers being like, come with me to Humble Crumble, and then I'll pick my toppings. Was that like a slow process, or was it literally like, we're a small business, and then overnight someone posted a video somewhere and you're like, okay, whoa?
So yes is the answer. I was running Humble Crumble for about 2 years before, 2.5 years before we went viral, but obviously there was a pandemic in there, so the timings are a bit confusing. But we went viral in October 2020, which actually was a really quiet time in London. We got basically Time Out posted to their 1 million London-based followers that you could go somewhere during this pandemic, and you can go get a crumble, and this place exists. And the problem that I told you about when I first started Humble Crumble, of people not really knowing what we did, not really taking the time to find out what we did. People had so much time and they were on their phone so much, they actually took the time to figure out, oh my gosh, a place is selling crumble. And then I think because it was such a scary time, crumble is such a comforting dessert.
It is a comforting dessert.
lots of people came, but it also wasn't this mad like wave where, you know, businesses now that can go viral, you know, they're actually, it's a blessing and a curse, because if you are not set up to sell high volumes of something and you go viral, you'll have a lot of people coming and then being disappointed potentially, and then that can tarnish your reputation. So with Humble Crumble, we were able to actually really keep up with it and keep changing our operational processes from literally like how you would make it in a home kitchen to using commercial equipment, getting, you know, queue management systems and changing our ordering systems so that we could actually be as efficient as possible. So we had that kind of time, which I think some businesses now don't have.
There's nothing wrong with steady growth. I know that when I started my business, I had like a competitor that had started it literally, like I think to the day, the same day as me. I was like, oh God, I should have done this earlier. But I was like, I don't know if it will work. And they exploded really, really quickly. And they had to hire loads of staff. Like everyone wanted to use their services. And whilst I was so happy about like the profits that I'd posted in my first year that I'd never dreamt of, they posted like 3 million. And I had actual like, I was working with different investors and they were saying like, why are these guys posting these profits and you're not? And I said, well, the only reason that I can give you here is that I don't think this market will last. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to be stuck with permanent staff, redundancies, which cost money, and I'll probably lose most of that anyway. Like there's a lot to be said for steady growth where you can adapt slowly upwards. I mean, they're in several downturns now, so that's definitely not what happened. But, and you know, for them, that did happen. They had to let go all their staff, you know, they lost a lot of their money. So I think there is something to be said for slow and steady. As long as there's growth, I think that's okay. It's great.
During the pandemic and, you know, when we were able to open again, there would be days when I'd sell like 2 crumbles.
Really?
In the whole day. And then, but I would always measure it as like, okay, actually, well, somebody came back today. It was a repeat customer, so that was a good day. Oh, I actually sold another crumble today than I did yesterday. I was trying to do like the small things to try and keep things positive.
Yeah.
And like, but at the same time, like a month before we went viral, I was considering shutting the business down. So
thank goodness you didn't, because look at you now. Yeah. So, okay, so then you sort of emerge out of lockdown. You've obviously had that time to rethink and look at numbers and all the logistics around it. What was the result? And then obviously you'd gone viral. Did you have a next step in mind about where you were going to take the business, or like was the goal to get another spot in another location? Like what was the thought process?
We got into Borough Market via a pop-up event for Christmas in December 2020. Yeah. We were doing, December 2020, we were doing a pop-up in Borough Market, which then, because of lockdowns, actually, we managed to remain there because they had all this like food that prepared and Spitalfields had to shut. Did you know that Christmas lockdown?
Yeah.
That everyone was trying to get on the train. Spitalfields decided to shut. Borough Market stayed open. My pop-up with Borough Market was finishing. And I spoke to the head of ops at the time and I said, can I just stay a little longer so we can at least sell this food so that it's not going to go to waste? And she just said, just stay at Borough Market. So people ask me, how did I get into Borough Market? And I'm like, it was a conversation with somebody. When we started in Borough Market, we started as an umbrella trader, which actually, what that means is we were selling produce. We were selling bake-at-home crumbles.
Ah, okay.
And it's actually logistically quite challenging to do it because you can't keep anything on site. So you have to bring everything in the morning, set up, sell for the day, and then pack everything down and then leave and then do everything again and again.
That sounds soul destroying.
It's really challenging.
Yeah.
It's really challenging. And we did that for about a year before we got our current site, which is a a full-on bakery in Borough Market, and where we sell our hot crumbles. And I just think I was speaking to a trader at the time, and he was like, because I was quite demoralized by doing the produce stuff. So it's really difficult. And he was like, it is your foot in the door. Like you've got your foot in the door, and now you have to beat it down. So I guess I just think that's a relevant point to be like, it's not, even though it's a struggle, your long-term goals, it may be actually helping towards your long-term goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, fast forward 4 years. I can't believe it was that long ago, lockdown. Feels like yesterday, but fast forward 4 or 5 years, you've now got locations in Spitalfields, Borough, Camden, and Covent Garden, and you're in the Ned.
And we also have a
Bicester.
At Bicester Village, yeah.
I mean, so like, if you look at like, I say slow and steady, but actually growth-wise, that's an incredible amount of growth in a very short space of time.
Yeah, I think, well, I have to say the credit goes to my team fully. Like there's a wonderful team at Humble Crumble, from the people making the crumbles, the crumble artists, to the management team, to our ops team and recipe developer. We all work together to create something that we all love and believe in. And I think everybody has like the best intentions, I think, at Humble Crumble, where we want to just make the best crumble we can and give like a moment of happiness to people just when they eat their crumble. So that's kind of like our guiding thing. Like our North Star is to just try and make a moment of happiness.
Yeah, it gave me a moment of happiness.
I'm glad to
More than a moment. It took me a good 7 minutes to eat it, but
and I think as well, like it's really easy. I think it's, well, my point that I want to say is, not everybody loves Humble Crumble, of course, because there's, people have different opinions and stuff, but I think we have a pretty good reputation overall as a brand that really tries to make high quality desserts. And that is what I would say is the reason why we've been able to grow. Is we've focused so much on making something that is delicious. And it's a lot of the time, the feedback I've had from influencers and other customers is that when they see something that goes viral or is Instagrammable, it ends up being disappointing in real life.
most of the time, yeah.
And so we try and strive to not be disappointing. We try to actually be delicious and something that you can come back for again and again and again. And I think that's what's able to allow us to like maintain our growth and ride that wave of social media virality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people do come to Humble Crumble with very high expectations, because a lot of people have said this place is really, really great, and it is hyped up. Like it's a hyped up business.
Yeah.
And so when people come and they have such high expectations, it's quite difficult to try and always meet those expectations.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could tell people to just be like, it's just a crumble that I hope you enjoy. It's not a crumble that I think is going to change your life. Like it may, I think it's the world's best crumble, but there may be a better crumble out there.
I haven't had a better crumble. I'm not just saying that because you're a guest on my podcast, but I haven't had a better crumble. And the fact that you had very, very innovative toppings and the whole experience, because it is an experience coming to Humble Crumble. It's not just like, oh, let me get my crumble, go. Like you're thinking, oh my God, I didn't know you could have that with a crumble. Or like there's a whole experience.
It's a theatrical experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's deliberate as well. Like the product is the marketing.
Yeah.
We have a creme brulee where it's blowtorched, sugar on top, and you can tap it and crack it. And, that takes a minute to make, and people are filming this this sugar bubbling, and that's, it's free marketing.
Yeah.
Like people talk about it all the time. Business owners talk about it all the time. But if your product is your marketing, it really helps.
Oh yeah. And it's, I think you're right with the theatrical side of it.
Yeah. But sorry, I have to say it cannot be a gimmick though. It has to
actually genuinely
have substance behind it.
Yes, yeah. I agree. And like you said, there have been a lot of viral things where I've thought, okay, I'm going for this. I'm going to go and try it. And I go there and I'm like, what is this? This is not what I saw. I think often people rely on maybe the aesthetics of if it's a restaurant, for example, it's like, oh my God, it's got flowers everywhere. you know, some people want to take pictures with the flowers or whatever. And you have these, or you see the way they're making a coffee and you're like, oh my God, the stencils and everything. And you go and you're like, that's legitimately the worst cup of coffee I've ever had. But I think it's true. Like, your product has to back up what you're putting out there. And you've just done it so well in that people obviously are coming and not feeling disappointed.
Some people are, and that's okay. Like,
that's normal.
I have had to rationalize this. I mean, I remember the first time I ever got a 1-star review, I cried. I cried, and I was like, how can someone think this is that bad, that it is like a 1 out of 5? Like, how is that? And that was just something I had to go through. And I think I've really learned over my nearly 7 years in doing Humble Crumble that, you know, you really can't please everybody, but also people have completely different like life experiences before coming and trying your product, which does shape how they view something. I mean,
or they never liked crumble that much in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most ridiculous reviews we've ever had is that, you know, they gave us a 1-star because we had a wooden spoon.
What?
Like, I didn't like the texture of the wooden spoon. It like ruined my eating experience. And I'm like, I can understand that, because wooden spoons can be texturally challenging, but there's a reason behind it. It's like, it's the most sustainable option, and that will completely biodegrade. If you really don't like wooden spoons, carry some cutlery with you. Like,
carry some metal spoons with you.
Carry a metal spoon with you. But you just like, the fact that you can like tell a business that, or the whole business basically, that's a 1 out of 5, because I'm using Google reviews as my example here. But
those can be really brutal.
Because of a wooden spoon. It's like, what about the actual crumble? You know, people have literally made this from scratch.
Not everyone's of sound mind either. We have to bear that in mind. Yeah, you're not always going to get the sanest customers.
But it's like, the point that I'm trying to make, I guess, is that the product is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But people have completely different experiences on it. They're looking at like Humble Crumble here, someone's coming at it from the right, someone's coming at it from the left. The same thing, different opinions.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually quite a liberating thing, to just know that no matter what you do, some people will love it, some people will hate it, and a lot of people won't even care.
That's true. And that's going to be the case for anything.
Anything.
And anyone. I mean, let's think of someone really big. What's one of the biggest food makers? Mr. KFC. Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably had some bad reviews, and he was like, water off a duck's back. Like, it's going to be all right. And the success that followed.
Do you always find it funny, like McDonald's, they always have like, they're like always like rated like 3-star, but they're one of the most popular businesses in the entire world. People still go there, and I'm like, why are you even rating them? I don't understand it. You know what you're getting.
You do have to question where that person is in life if they're going home to do a Google review on McDonald's, but I guess that's a separate issue. And what I'm interested about is, you are in arguably the most iconic locations in London. Obviously, like you've said, you know, you have to ask the question, you have to put yourself out there. And what I'm getting from you is like, don't ask, don't get. And that was instilled in you from young. But obviously, like, it's gone from iconic to highly exclusive now, like getting into the Ned and getting into Bicester Village. Mm-hmm. How did you do that?
It really helps being a first mover. We are the world's first crumble bakery, and with that has meant doors have opened. So, for instance, if I was doing my stall in Borough Market, my umbrella stall, and I was selling maybe donuts, you know, I probably wouldn't have gotten the bakery that I have in there, because there's already a place that does donuts in Borough Market.
Right.
If I was doing the same thing in any other market, it would be much harder for me to get into it. But because it actually had a brand new like product category in food and beverage, the novelty of it made people stop and look at it and be like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then obviously our traction for success of bringing customers in. So the virality online helped landlords, you know, take notice and see us. Markets around London want customers to come. Like Humble Crumble, for instance, being in Borough Market, being in Spitalfields, being in Camden, bring customers to the market for these customers to spend with other traders as well. So they'll be thinking about it like that. The third thing is we also invest a lot in our fit outs. So our design processes, for instance, in our Spitalfields store, when we moved into it, so we actually moved 4 times within Spitalfields. Oh my God. From a wooden store to another store to a kind of a small unit, and then into a 2,000 square foot bakery. When we opened the 2,000 square foot bakery, we spent a lot of money fitting it out to make it really high end, like classy and like beautiful, so that we could show landlords what we could do. And landlords want to have really good tenants that make their properties better. So we could then use Spitalfields as a case study to, you know, for Camden Market, and say, you know, we've done this in Spitalfields, we're going to make something that fits in with Camden, but also Humble Crumble. Whereas if you look, I mean, you went to Camden, it's very pink, it's very Humble Crumble, but if you look at the textures, it's all like, the countertop is concrete, then we've got this like textured pink plaster on the front counter, the walls are like rough, and it's meant to be Humble Crumble meets punk, which is, you know, very Camden.
Very Camden, yeah.
Our Covent Garden bakery is a small bakery, and there's like a window and a door, and we made the most out of what we could have from the outside of the view that you have. We made this huge mural on the inside so that you could see it from the outside, and it was all this colour, which is very like of Covent Garden. Yeah. So we really tried to like make our sites like sing for future landlords to see, but also that this is from a commercial point of view, but also for customer experience as well.
Yeah, they'll stop and say wow.
They'll say wow, but also like it's part of the experience. Like I've been to Spitalfields and I've seen this, and I've gone to Covent Garden and it's been different, and I've gone to Camden. There's like it's more of a journey. It's not just some copy and paste. Like everything's really well thought out. So that is, you know, I think one of the reasons why we've been able to get into these good places, but also we've had to say no to a lot of places that haven't fit the, you know, the high-end nature of Humble Crumble. When I say high-end, obviously I mean we use high quality ingredients. We want to be using the best produce, best ingredients, and so we want to be in the best locations. We want to be, you know, seen as like a luxury.
Yeah, and it also, I guess it, if you're going to go into an area that has, you know, lower socioeconomical environment, it's not going to work for your business model either, because that is a luxury.
Yeah. I would describe Humble Crumble as an affordable luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a treat. It's a treat.
It is a lovely treat. I might have to go to Spitalfields after we filmed, honestly. So was your latest one the Ned? Because that's where I saw on Instagram and it had cream all over it, and I was like, what is that? Was that the latest location?
Yeah, so we're doing a pop-up with the Ned. So it's actually just for March. So it's just a 1 month thing where we have trained their team on how to make everything. We make the crumble topping and they're making the desserts there for people. And they've got really, really good chefs there. So it's been quite an easy transition to train people, basically.
Do they report back, like when it comes to your figures and how it's doing, how often do you get an insight into that side?
Not as often as I think we would like, but I'm also not the person who's managing that project. So I'm checking in sometimes with the person who's managing the project, and what I'm hearing is that, you know, it's doing well, basically.
Yeah.
It's doing well.
Oh, I went to a market actually where you've probably been approached by them anyway. Mikado?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have like high-end pastas and stuff.
Yeah, they're in Elephant Castle, right?
No, there's one in Mayfair, I think.
Oh, the one in the church.
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And they had like a padella pasta and things like that, like high-end treats. And I was like, what is is this place? But I can see Humble Crumble there.
We do need a lot of space because of making everything.
That's very true, and they have like quite small areas. So is there like a dream place? It doesn't matter what country it's in, you can pick a place, but is there one place that's in your head that's like, oh God, I would love to have a location there?
Well, the dream place for me was always Borough Market.
So you got your dream.
I honestly didn't think it would happen. I think Borough Market is one of the best places in the world. It's like iconic in the food industry.
It's special, yeah.
It's super special. It's one of the oldest markets as well. I think it's over 1,000 years old.
1,000?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just a beautiful place, and I really love it there, and I'm so grateful that we have a space there.
Yeah. I read an article on on an Instagram, you've probably seen it, probably about 10 months ago, and it had sort of a summary of you. Of you and Humble Crumble and like what you'd achieved. And it said, this Crumble company is on track to post 6 million in revenue in the next year. How's that going?
We did 6 million last year.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's this year?
I think this year we're likely to do 8 million, maybe 8.5 million.
That's incredible. That's phenomenal.
It all depends on whether or not we open another bakery,
Yeah.
So if that happens, we want to open another bakery, but if that happens at, April.
Yeah.
We'll change the
But 8
projections
million.
rather than if it's in September.
For your one idea, standing outside in the cold in Brighton, they should really sell hot food, has now turned into an £8 million a year business. Do you ever
It's absolutely crazy. I'm completely blown away by that fact. And I actually, a lot of the time I don't even think about it, because I think if I really sat down and thought about it, I'd be like, what the hell?
It's incredible.
I genuinely just wanted to set up a crumble cafe because I thought it would be a really nice place to go to. And I used street food as my way of testing out the product, because I was like, I don't know what equipment I need. I don't know how this will look. I don't know how to hire anybody. I don't know anything about business rates. I don't know anything about all this stuff. So I'm going to use street food as a way of learning everything and testing out whether the concept is possible. And now I can't create a crumble cafe because you can't sit down. It's just too busy.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the example of, you don't know what's going to work. You can't really create a business model until you've tried it, tried out your idea, because you'll have to adapt it almost immediately. And so Humble Crumble has turned into something that I didn't even dream of. It's by far exceeded my expectations, and I'm so happy and proud of my younger self for trying, because it's really changed my life.
I bet.
Really changed my life. I went to Downing Street. I met the Prime Minister because I sell crumbles. Isn't that mad?
Great crumbles, and they do make people happy. But I do think from my side of things, yes, obviously, Humble Crumble, great business, great food. But at the end of the day, you have started from that pure hustle and grind, setting up each day, hoping for a single customer and maybe celebrating if there's 2 or 3, all the way through to this point where you have a multi-million-pound empire within the thing you're most passionate about. And that's an unbelievable achievement and story. And I think it's great. I mean, that's why I started this podcast, is so people can draw inspiration from people, because I think social media, you see the glossy side of it, and people are very vocal about their successes and things like that. And I think it's getting better now, but not a lot of people were very raw and honest about the journey it took them to actually get to that point. And when push comes to shove, a lot of people don't want to go through that journey. They like the end part or the middle part, but that beginning part is brutal.
It's a sacrifice.
Yeah, for your whole life, mental state, physical state. It's a lot. And you hear a lot, I interview a lot of women, and they say, I had 7 years where I didn't really earn anything. And now they're multimillionaires, and they're saying, obviously that is phenomenal, but I want people to understand that I was driving around the whole country with demos, working 16 hours a day. And I think like that is a true representation of what entrepreneurship is. It's not glamorous.
It is not glamorous. You know, running a successful business is glamorous.
Yes.
Starting one is not.
It's the least glamorous thing that you could possibly do.
Literally, like, my partner and I were talking about this because obviously instead he runs Try Guys, so he was also started in a market setting as well. You know, you're washing up dishes in cold water in like the winter because it's not because the hot water's not working, and you're just like, it's all greasy, and you're not wearing nice clothes. You're like bundled up, and you're just, you know, you're exhausted because you've spent the whole day trying to sell stuff that you've made, and then, you know, then you have to do everything. You just have to do everything, and then you've got to try and hire people if you're in that lucky position where you can afford to hire people, and you'll do all of this stuff. And actually, by the time that Humble Crumble became viral, I honestly think I was really burnt out, which made me actually step out of baking every day and selling. I think I rationalized it to myself at the time that if I was in the business, I wouldn't be able to grow it. But I also think I was like, I just need to like rest, like physically rest, because I'm so tired from all of this manual labor, basically. Yeah,
and I think presumably taking that step back did help the business grow, where you were able to look at things on a more strategic level.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that they're very involved in the day-to-day business, and I do think it's important to know everything that's going on in your business 100%.
I don't agree with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
I don't know a lot of the stuff that's going on in Humble Crumble.
Is that because it would be too hard to stay on top of all of it because there's so much?
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot, but there's, you know, you have to trust your team. You really have to trust your team, and I don't want to micromanage anybody, and I think my team definitely have quite a lot of autonomy, and I just know that they have the best interest of their teams and Humble Crumble. I check in, we have like meetings about, you know, where things are going, but I don't know everything that goes on. Like sometimes I find out like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. That's amazing.
Well done.
Well done. Yeah. Like actually with the Ned. So for instance, I handed that project to my ops team, and they, you know, I was like, oh, how's it going? Like, oh yeah, we're launching next month. And I was like, oh great. I'm like, what's the logistics of that like? And they're like, oh yeah, well we'll make the crumble topping, we'll send it to them, and we'll train the team, and we've assessed everything. And I'm like, great.
It really does highlight the importance of having a very strong, dedicated team. I think that's great. I guess that is how you grow, because can you really be in the weeds every day? Delegate. Yeah.
As soon as you can delegate something, even if it's outsourcing stuff, like, you know, moving from using an accounting software to using an accountant. You know, for instance, like that saves so much time. Like just delegate as much as you can, even if it's using outside contractors.
Absolutely. So your core location's London, but you've gone into Bicester, so you ventured out to Oxford.
To Oxford.
Other cities?
I would like to do other cities. It's something that our, you know, I guess our customers, our followers ask for. The thing that is, I guess, scary about it and a consideration is, one, like, we know the London market really well. We don't know other cities that well. Two, we have so much support in London for our London teams because we've got 4 bakeries here. So the teams can support each other. For instance, like if one team doesn't get an egg delivery, another team can send them some eggs.
Yeah.
And that actually like happens quite frequently.
Does it?
It happens quite enough times where when we were just one bakery, we'd be running to the supermarket. And it's just, it does actually make it logistically harder the further away you go from that core team. So basically we're trying to figure out how can we do it in a way that, you know, is in the right location, which we don't necessarily know about, and has the right systems and processes that it can run independently from the London site. And also one of the things is just to consider is, you know, how does a bakery that is, say, for instance, in Manchester or Birmingham, what presence does that have compared to the London bakeries? Like, should they be separate things? Should they have separate menus? Should the team in those northern cities have their own autonomy to choose things, or should it be really tied? And, you know, I'm in two minds by that, because I actually sometimes think, as I said, my kind of management style is you should be autonomous and you should be able to decide. So should it be separate? Should it be conjoined? I don't know.
Yeah. Is there a big goal in mind, like if someone said to you, where do you want Humble Crumble to be in 5 years? And that could be, I want to have sold it for many millions, or it could be, I want to be in X amount of locations, or I want to be posting this amount of revenue. Do you have any like in mind that you think, yeah, that would actually be wonderful?
I already think our business journey has been wonderful. So as I said, my expectations have been exceeded many, many times. I didn't set the business up to sell it. Not to say that I never will sell it. I can't see myself selling it, but you know, you can never know. I don't think like that about like I want X number of bakeries, etc. I just really want Humble Crumble to still be a loved brand that sells crumbles that people really like having. Like, and I think that's literally it. Like, if people stop liking Humble Crumble, then it doesn't matter how many bakeries we have.
That's very true. Yeah, I can't see that happening though.
I hope not.
No, I don't see that happening. And then I was just interested to find out, like, along your journey from being on one market stall to now being in several locations, have you made the decision to take outside investor money?
We've not taken on any investment.
Not a penny?
Not a penny. We've, as I said, before we went viral, I was thinking about closing the business down because like it was really difficult. It was financially challenging. And then we went viral, which meant a lot of money was coming into the business that wasn't there before. So we actually managed to grow because of the influx of you know, customers buying crumbles. And then when we moved into physical bakeries rather than market stores, we used asset finance. So where you're like buying an oven but paying for it over time.
Yeah.
So that helped. And then you can also do certain like asset finance for certain joinery pieces, like a counter, for instance. So I can't really take any credit for that. It is my boyfriend who sorted all those financial deals out. But it was a way to open but manage cash flow, basically, and not take on investment.
Yeah, I think taking on investment has become very glamorized, and some businesses genuinely need it because they reach a sort of a point at which they can grow no more unless they take outside investor money. But there's a lot to be said for owning your business in full and being able to build it. And it's same that slow and steady conversation of like, okay, you could have taken investor money, you could have taken private equity money probably, and then opened 300 locations. I don't know, or franchises. You could have given people the opportunity to franchise, which doesn't seem like that's your thing because you love quality control. So I don't see that. I don't see you an undercover boss with 300 franchises.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you can look at our pop-up with the Ned as like essentially a franchise because, you know, we're teaching them how to make everything. They're making it and they're using our name.
Yeah.
But they are our crumbles, but it's a partnership.
Yeah, they're your crumbles though.
But it was a strategic one because we're like, we know the Ned is high quality.
Yeah.
So we know they're going to do it well. We've seen everything from inside their kitchens and spoken to them. Whereas, you know, we get like every day, like, you know, 10 franchise requests from random people around the world.
I bet you do, yeah.
They're just like, send me your franchising deck. And I'm like, we actually won. It's really weird. We won a franchise award.
Well, how'd you do that without franchise?
We didn't apply. They just put us in there and said, no, I think we became runner up. I was like, we're not a franchise. Why did this place?
That's so odd.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because I saw this on Instagram again, these two guys that had a cookie company and now it's worth $1 billion.
Is this Crumble?
Yes.
Crumble cookies, yeah.
And they managed to sort of grow at that speed because they adopted the franchise model.
Yeah.
which maybe is easier when you've got cookies that you can send like ship and stuff. It's probably a little bit of a different model.
You can freeze you can freeze a cookie and then send it to a site, and then they can finish baking it there.
That's true, like the dough. And I saw in like the time in which they grew and exploded. And this is, again, they went viral because they did limited edition flavors and drops and things like that, which is genius. But you look at that and you think the two guys from, I don't remember where in America, but not a busy city, started with $70,000. One of them, their two cousins, one of them had that in savings. And now they have a $1 billion company through that.
It's crazy.
It must be tempting at times.
It really isn't.
No.
It really isn't. Like I think if I wanted to create, I could make a lot of money franchising Humble Crumble.
Yeah.
It's really not.
But you're quality obsessed, so that stops it, right? Because you want to deliver the best.
It's also, I started the business because I really wanted to create a place where people could go and get really nice crumbles.
Yeah.
Like, and that's my motivation. It's not, of course, I am financially motivated.
Everybody is if they start a business.
And it's a fact of life. You need money to live, right? And if you have more money, you live better. Yeah. But, you know, at a certain point, how much money do you need? And
yeah, I think for some people it does become an addiction.
Yeah. I mean, you can always get to a certain level and say, I want more.
Yeah.
But I just want to make a nice crumble.
I love that you're completely living by your day one values and goals in that sense. And I think that's what makes it really special as well, is that you're not just business, squeeze costs. You genuinely are like, I set out to create an incredible experience and that remains my goal. And the other stuff is a secondary reward, which I think is amazing. Interesting question for you. If you could give your 2020 self any key bits of experience or little bits of knowledge that would have saved you hassle, pain, or given you a little bit of an easier journey at the beginning, are there any sort of core things that you'd say, don't do this or do this?
It's difficult to say because I'm going to do that typical answer of like everything kind of maybe had to happen for a reason, or I learned so much along the way that has led me to where I am now. And if I'd done things sooner, maybe the timing wouldn't have worked out. I don't really know. But one thing I do sometimes think about is I would have joined a 7-day-a-week market sooner. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have done like 2 years of trying to do weekend markets, just trying to figure it out. But at the same time, those weekend markets allowed me to really tweak and test the product and really understand it, get everything from pricing to product to how it looks to like menu messaging, etc. down. That set me up in a really good way for a 7-day-a-week market and also going viral. Yeah. So it's hard to say do that sooner, whereas I think if I'd launched straight away in a 7-day-a-week market, I probably would have lost a lot of customers because I was doing the wrong things.
You need to learn from your mistakes at the same time as well. I know there are a lot of people that sort of have business ideas like you did and passion and hesitation and may never pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. What's your advice to those people?
It's so completely personal as to whether or not you decide to start a business, pull the trigger or not, because it is really hard.
Brutal.
It's like some toxic relationship, you know, you're doing it to yourself, but you can't stop. Yeah. And, you know, it does take a lot of sacrifice. Like, you know, something does have to give. And I actually kind of, I don't know, it's not gonna make me very popular to say this, but I don't actually think we can have it all. No. I think it's setting yourself up to fail if you think I can try and have everything all. And I say you have to have some sort of sacrifice involved. And, you know, I started my business when I was 23 years old and I sacrificed my social life. for that. And like, I don't have loads of friends. I have good friends, but I don't have a huge friendship circle.
You don't need them.
I don't need them. I don't need them.
Two or three great ones.
Exactly. But as in, like, I just, you know, but your 20s often are when people go out and they meet a lot of people, they're having a lot of fun. And I was working at the weekends.
Yeah.
All weekends.
It wasn't that fun. Don't worry, I did that. Wasn't that fun.
Well, I mean, at the same time, like, I never really enjoyed, like, going out. So
No.
I wasn't that much of a sacrifice.
Not a top clubber.
In that sense.
Not a raver.
But I'm not a raver. I'm definitely a behaver. But the advice I'd say is, if you actually do want to do a business, is like, don't be so intimidated by calling it a business or like trying to set up a company or anything like that. I would just literally start in the smallest way possible. And that could literally be just deciding a name for your business. Then it could be setting up social media, and it could just be, you know, getting feedback. And I actually think going to a market is a really good place to get feedback. So even if you're trying to like sell like a food subscription service or something, or a different subscription service, you can just go where the people are and just ask them questions like, would you want this? Would you not want this? Or you can literally test a product or your service and just get the feedback straight away. Because a lot of businesses, especially with like e-commerce, you never really meet your customers. Whereas with Humble Crumble, they're right there in front of us and they will tell us.
Scary.
And we'll talk to them. But it's really nice. You have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And but it's just interesting I'm going off tangent here, but if you can go somewhere and you can get feedback straight away that's not friends and family.
Yeah.
Because you want people who are going to give you the brutal truth. But also I will tell you that everybody will, no matter how you price your product, some people will complain. They'll tell you it's too expensive. Even if it's so cheap, they'll be like, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So don't always listen to people when they say your price is too expensive.
No, you can't listen to all the outside noise and every single opinion that you hear, because ultimately you'll never end up starting the business or never make it anywhere because it's tough.
But I'm sure you're getting the same, you know, advice back from every like person that you're speaking to on this podcast, because I'm asking people as well, like successful people, like, how did you do this? How did you start? And they're like, I literally just started and I was consistent with it. And then one day that consistency paid off. It was like a compound interest, and it pays off. I mean, I actually just posted a video of a friend of mine who he's a musician, and he says that, you know, he has been running his music account on Spotify for 6 years, and he's now making $8,000 to $12,000 a month from streams. But it took him, five or 6 years to get there. And he was saying he would just all the time make different types of music and put it out there. Even if it wasn't that good, he would kind of learn from it. And he said for every 20 songs, one of them was good and one of them would gain traction. So, and it's just interesting to think about this, like him and other people literally just being consistent, putting stuff out there and just trying. And like, honestly, get over the fear that people are going to judge you for trying something, because even if they do, it's going to be a second in their heads. They might talk about it at the pub and then they'll forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I agree with that. No, I love your approach. I love your genuine passion and your obsession with quality. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And I'm really excited to see where you pop up next.
Me too.
I personally might be making a little stop on the way home at Spitalfields to get a crumble, because the hot custard crumble situation has been on my mind consistently while I've been talking to you.
It's probably been hard to prep for this. You've probably been quite hungry.
So hungry, which is why I was saying to Tom behind the camera, I was like, do you think she'll bring any? We were like, she's not going to bring any, is she? Surely not. It's a hot crumble. So I have to go and get it myself. But this has been so insightful and interesting. And I always say I interview so many different types. Obviously, everyone's different. I think the perception is that every entrepreneur is bullish and aggressive and it's not true. You can have very different personality types. However, the fundamentals tend to sort of, for the truly successful people who have very pure intentions with their business, share the same traits, which is centered around resilience, weathering, being able to weather a storm, bad feedback, chaos, having a genuine passion about what you're doing and really believing in it as well. So I just think it's so interesting that, you know, if I put all of my guests in one room, some of them will say, oh my God, these are so many different women with so many different personalities, but the core values like are very, very similar. I'm going to do a She Did That dinner, and I think it's going to be very interesting. Humble Crumble want to do dessert?
Maybe.
I'm pitching you for a pop-up. Thank you so much, Kim. This has been so exciting, and can't wait for you to tell me that you've done 10 million the year after, even though that's not your main motivation, but I'm watching, cheering on the sidelines.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome.